Oh, holy shit, I might need a job.
Tonight, I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend.
Oh yes, the Santa rally might be coming here to Bitcoin. And regardless of what happens, we know that Trump has gone from trying to cut the budget and reduce the deficit to running that baby hot. Announcing now the first of what we can assume as potentially multiple, certainly the first stimulus checks that we've seen in the second Trump administration. Just like we've been telling you, this administration desperately needs a win. But what we've seen today in just the last few hours, and by the time you see this video, it will be yesterday for you most likely, is that the crypto market is experiencing the type of volatility that we haven't seen since probably 2018 or 2019. I know for me, I haven't seen this type of price action in what feels like forever. It definitely is not normal. So we're gonna be talking a little about what's going on the manipulation side, and then we're gonna be talking about the housekeeping zone, the Santa rally, where we think this is going to happen and how I'm preparing, because just like we've been covering for the last several videos, the chance to rearrange the portfolio, do some housekeeping, and enjoy the fruits of, at the very least, a bear market rally, if not a real reversal, is coming up, and it is loading, and it is finally being shown here with real statistical data. So let's get into this, because this is going to be a hard-hitting, data-driven analysis of how to position, or how I'm positioning over the next few weeks. First and foremost, let's talk about the Warrior Dividend. That's right. We've just heard from Trump just a few hours ago that he is going to be running it hot and giving out a new round of stimulus checks, this time to U.S. service members. $1,776. Yep, shout out to 1776. This is a Christmas dividend for every service member. I think over 1 million people, 1,400,000 people. So that is quite a bit of money. That is over $1 billion. I think it's several $1 billion worth of stimulus. Again, not going to change too much as far as our altcoin bags, but it's showing you where the desire is for this administration to do handouts, to earn back a little bit of credibility by giving out stuff. That to me is what we've been preparing for in 2026. That has been the whole thesis, is that the 4-year cycle is probably going to get challenged by the desire for exactly this type of stimulus by the Trump administration in 2026. And what we know for sure is that the Trump administration is getting to cherry pick their favorite candidate for the Federal Reserve chairman in just a few months. Now, right as we release the video today, which for you will be tomorrow, we've actually seen the odds for Kevin Warsh, who was the lead for Fed chair, get flipped back again to Kevin Hassett, and we're seeing a newcomer in the form of Christopher Waller, who we're not going to go into this too much, but the point is this race is flipping around, it's dipping around, and we do not know exactly who's going to be Fed chair, but we can assume that this is going to be the person that best checks the boxes for Trump. And I just simply do not believe that it's going to be someone that doesn't have a stern support for Trump's policies and Trump's agenda going forward. That's the motivation, that's the goal. And I would be shocked if whoever comes in May of 2026 doesn't immediately in June of 2026 do something pretty drastic to support the Trump agenda if it needs to be done. All right, a few things here, because since we filmed this video yesterday, a bunch of stuff happened, okay? First and foremost, check this out. We had yet again one of the most disgusting examples of manipulation that I've seen here in the crypto space. Look at this. Look at this chart. This is absolutely criminal, okay? This is absolutely criminal. We have this manipulation up from yesterday and then an absolute smash where they're liquidating shorts on the way up and then longs on the way down. Same exact thing happened, and then rejection, right? The illiquidity and the absolute disgusting extractive nature of what's happening is 100% connected to whatever happened on October 10th. There was something predatory and gross happening behind the scenes here, and it is causing these illiquid spikes and these illiquid crashes. And it, to me, is purely and simply designed to create losses by leverage traders and to just destroy whatever's left. And here you can see Crypto God John echoing my thoughts exactly. Something happened on 10/10. It is gross. Binance has been hammering the tape, selling every single day, creating a negative spot delta, essentially just overselling every single day. Whatever happened on 10/10, maybe they owe some money to some market makers. Eventually we'll find out. But today it begs a lot of caution. Now, one of the things that I wanted to also bring up is that when we look at the concept here of a Santa rally, or just a rally from whatever Trump's doing in general, we got some CPI data today, and it was the best CPI data we've seen in forever, which is partly what caused this move up here, right? This move right here, that was this pump up, was right after the CPI data was released. Now, the reason this is crazy is that people who understand what happened realize that they have omitted October's data from this particular set of books. And all the macro guys I follow effectively say that they're cooking the books. They're cooking the books to make it seem like inflation is lower. And what it sends is a very specific signal that this administration is willing to do anything in its power to generate the headlines and the positivity that they want to make the market seem better, to allow for them to come in and buoy expectations upwards. And if you can't see the writing on the wall from one of the biggest, most biblical prints that we've ever seen in American history, then you're not looking at this accurately. Now, we actually had a headline yesterday that there might be a risk of a war with Venezuela. That turned out not to be the case. And what we got instead was yesterday, essentially Trump going on about all of his wins in year one. So a lot changed from yesterday, where we might be expecting some kind of geopolitical shock, to understanding that that's not necessarily on the cards. But it's important to realize that this market is extremely illiquid. I do expect that we rip up to 100K at some point. I'm hoping we do it before we go and explore the lows. But as I say in the next segment, we could either violate the lows of 80K now and go up to 100, or we could dip as low, in my opinion, as the prior all-time high of 69K. Obviously, the 74K level, which was the reversal from April, very important. They're all very important levels, and I'm expecting for one of them to be extremely pivotal for us to get our Santa rally. I'm not sure if it'll come exactly in time for Christmas, but that's the time to do the housekeeping. I'll talk a little bit about that in the previously recorded segment of this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. But as always, I just want you to understand that we're seeing manipulation and illiquidity in crypto on a scale that we've never seen it, all while the biggest institutions in the world all flood into the space. It's very clear that the long term is very bullish for this industry, but short term, some big players have gotten wiped off the map. And that is what we're seeing here on the charts. And we just need to sort of duck for cover while this plays out, because long term, I'm very excited about what happens. But short term, what we're seeing on the charts is nothing short of an absolute crime scene. Now, let's get to the meat of the episode, because today's episode is mostly about this. We saw in the last few hours, Bitcoin this morning pumped from about 86,000 up to 90,000, all the way back down to 85,000. What can only be described as an absolute bukkake on all leveraged traders, an absolute pillaging, a destruction, a violation of a sexual nature that has happened to everyone on the charts. And this type of illiquid price action, where Bitcoin snaps up and down $4,000 or $5,000 while really not doing all that much but going down on the longer time frames, is reminiscent of bear markets past, like 2018, 2019, really depressing moments. This isn't even 2022 stuff. This is like 2018 stuff. And it makes me think that there is a vicious dead body, or maybe multiple dead bodies, that are floating to the surface right now and having to effectively close stuff up, tie stuff up before the end of the year, which is why I do think that whatever violence we're seeing on the chart will hopefully be concluded here before we get into next year. That is a theory. That is not a reality. And I want to be clear, the price action is also foreboding with a couple of news events. We have this, which is, of course, the thing you don't want to see. This is an interesting point. I think we can all agree the AI trade has buoyed the entire market, the entire economy. And as Base says here, the real economy is a derivative of AI stock prices, a wave which appears to be done. And he's using the Oracle stock price as evidence of this. You can look at other AI stock prices and see, hey, we have seen what feels and what appears to be a bit of a blow off top here over the last few months. Bull's mostly arguing that the AI trade might be over, but RSP, real economy, is improving. I think you can't divorce those two, and market will realize that. This is, of course, the argument that the AI trade is the only trade. Again, we just had that video on how the AI trade is going to be more or less backstopped, but something can be backstopped on a long time frame while still experiencing tons of nastiness on a short time frame. Again, short versus long time frame, that is the nasty dance we find ourselves, not just in AI, but crypto as well. All that being said, cheaper prices on AI companies, cheaper prices on crypto, if you have cash, is a very good thing. So the question is, when is it time to raise that cash and to get the cash into your pocket so you can buy lower, if that is what's going to happen? That's going to be essentially the topic of this video, and it's been the topic since we've been dealing with the fact that this market has pretty much gone to hell since October 10th. What we know is that something horrible happened on October 10th. We said this on October 11th when we made that video, that we don't know whether this is the end of something massive, that this is the beginning of something horrific in crypto, or effectively a washout before we just run it back turbo. And I said that in a few months, we look back and it would be really obvious. Well, in a few months, we're looking back and clearly somebody big here in crypto has been wiped off the board. Maybe Wintermute, maybe another big market maker, maybe multiple big market makers have been wiped off the board. Maybe market makers have been wiped off and are now suing exchanges, and exchanges are selling to cover the potential losses and the potential liability. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of possibilities here. And what we need to know is that something that happened on October 10th, we're still paying for that today. But that said, we've been looking to see this market rip back up to that 100K or thereabout level. And the question is, when does this happen? Does this happen now? Do we start our Santa rally now and then we do our housekeeping when we get up into those high 90s? Or does something else need to shake it up before we make it up to 100K? I do believe we will see a run up to 100K, a vicious rally up to 100K, at which time I will be doing my housekeeping. Again, I did a very small amount when we tickled 94. That was my first level of housekeeping, but I want to do my main chunk of housekeeping around that 50-week moving average and around that 100K psychological level. Now, let's get back into the Bitcoin ranges that we've been looking at. As we said, we've gone over this the last few episodes. Before Bitcoin can durably make its way up, we've seen that there has been this swing failure pattern on the weekly range here. So we've seen the weekly candles, and I'll switch over to the weekly candles so I can just make it abundantly clear. We've seen that we've had a weekly swing failure where we have Bitcoin effectively have a low on the weekly. Let me get rid of this magnet. We have a low on the weekly, we sweep below it, and then we go up. We have a low on the weekly, we sweep below it, and then we go up. We have a low, sweep up. That's how we've created the biggest runs of this cycle. Now, will we do it again? Does history repeat, right? Does it have to repeat? No, the market doesn't owe us anything. But if we're going to see a vicious bear market rally, again, we're not saying that we're going to go to new all-time highs off this rally just yet. We're saying that the base case here is that we at least go and tag somewhere around this blue line, this 50-week moving average, which is sitting around 101K. Let's just call it 100K for easy numbers. Anywhere in this, I'm going to do a little box here. Let's do a little box. Anywhere in this box here, you know, in the sort of 98K and above range, to me, that's like a good housekeeping zone. And it'll allow for us to effectively reorganize our bags here. This is the housekeeping zone. So whether we go like this, or whether we go up like this, I don't really care. I'm not path dependent. I'm patient here, patient panda, as old Gary Vee will say. But I want to do my housekeeping in here, which means that I want to have enough cash, right? I want to have enough cash in case this does roll over and become a, you know, a scary bearish moment in 2026, as would follow the 4-year cycle. I'm checking my own bias, my own excitement, my own desire to see the 4-year cycle break. I believe it will be broken to some degree here over the next few months. But regardless, I'm going to sell the bags that I don't want. I'm going to get rid of them. When we're in the housekeeping zone, I'm going to move over and make sure I'm holding the stuff that I'm okay with holding through the bear market, and that I have enough cash to buy the dip with my favorite coins. That's going to be my strategy. And again, I'm flexible as to how it comes. I think my biggest contributions in the end to this space will not be having a crystal ball and trying to predict the crazy price movements of this industry. As we've seen, they're very crazy. They did not follow, in my opinion, the same cycle as last time, certainly not with the altcoins. And so I'm going to try to focus on the things that I think I have an edge and I think I can provide great value with. And again, I believe that we're creating amazing products. I believe that that will be my biggest, most lasting impact. But at the same time, I also believe that even if you subscribe to the 4-year cycle, we will see a run up here. Whether we have to sweep the lows and scare the hose again, I don't know. Maybe this whole conflict with Venezuela is an excuse to dump it down and then we go up. But I have here the 2 key levels. The key levels, if we break below 80, are 74K and the old 69K top. Ye old 69K top. Usually the prior top of the previous cycle is a pretty important number. It doesn't mean we can't go below it. We went below it here. We went below this prior top of the previous cycle here. We see that, oh, this chart doesn't even go back there. Well, anyway, 20K was the prior top of the previous cycle. We know that. And so we went below it in 2022. So it can happen. However, it's important to realize that when we did hit that 20K level, we had a big rally off of it, okay? So I believe that at the very least, if we do come down to 69K, we will see a nice spring off of it. We will probably see a nice spring off 74K, as that was the last major low. That is if and only if we do break below 80. Those are the buy zones, the major buy zones I'm going to be looking at for major bounces. And again, I still think even if that all happens before we go up to 100K, that we will see a vicious rally to to 100K. Because imagine this. Imagine we do end up falling down to 74K and then go all the way up to 100. A lot of people will go, oh my God, bull market's back, bear market's over. This is the excitement phase. I'll probably start screaming, hooting and hollering, but we're going to remind each other. We're going to bro each other here. Okay, bro or sis? We're going to do housekeeping here. This is the housekeeping zone. We are not going to mess this up. We are going to do our housekeeping. We're going to make sure that if we do end up going here and rolling over or going here and rolling over, and again, I don't know if we're going to go down to 50. I don't know where we're going to go, right? I don't have a crystal ball, but I want to do some housekeeping because if we do break up and we do end up going up here and start challenging prior all-time highs, that is giga bullish and we'll have plenty of time to flip bullish up there. But I want to make sure that if we just, make this run up to the 100K level, we have time to flip, do some housekeeping, be ready for whatever comes, because the first half of 2026, while we still have the current Federal Reserve, before we get Hassett or Waller or whoever might be Trump's pick, before Trump and co. might unload the big bags, the big bazooka cannons of stimulus and handouts that they think are going to win them priority in the 2026 midterm elections, that is exactly when we want to be putting our money into the market, is to follow that wave of new liquidity, okay? That might not happen in the immediate beginning of the year. It might take a few months for all of those gears to turn, because once they start stimulating, it'll take maybe 2 months or 3 months before the economy starts ripping. But the effects of that might not last 9 months. So I don't think they're going to start unloading at the beginning of the year. It might take them a few months before they start really pushing stuff out. And that might be the moment of weakness. That might be the deflationary shock. That's a video we did a few videos ago where we said, hey, look, there might be this deflationary shock that allows for them to stimulate without raising prices because they don't want higher prices. That's going to essentially be the thing that gets them kicked out of office. All that being said, we have our housekeeping zone. We have our major levels. We have our Japan rate hike FUD, which I think happens tomorrow. I think we're going to be finding out tomorrow or Friday. And all that is to say, stats are stats. Crown has been calling this down move since the mid 110s or 100 and teens. Since 115K, Crown has been bearish. He's been crushing it. And he said, look, he's getting a long trigger now. He's getting a potential Santa rally trigger that has target 1 here at, what is this, TP1 is at 90 something K, TP2 is at 98K, and TP3 is at 112K. So those are the 3 levels that he has here on the chart. Yeah, 90,500, 97.9, and 111.3. Those are the 3 levels that he has here. He pretty much has these targets going out into just after the new year. Again, this is not a guarantee. This is the MetaSignals app, not Crown directly, but at the same time, he's been having similar analysis on his channel. So different ways to support the same idea that, hey, we will make our way back up to the holy housekeeping zone, right? We want to do our housekeeping. I found this funny. I don't know if you guys have been seeing this. Coinbase has been hyping up this major announcement. Oh, we're changing the world, and it's just, you can trade stocks. And I found that to be such a absolute letdown, to be honest. You got to hand it to Coinbase, great company, but saying we're going to reinvent the wheel and it's just, hey, we're going to bring more crypto liquidity into stocks. It's that's not what we need. That's not what we need. We need stock traders to come into crypto. Opposite. We need the opposite. We need crypto to be traded on the stock market. We don't need our current trader liquidity splitting their own money back into stocks. That's not what we need. So this is literally the opposite of what we signed up for. If you want some hopium crack, here you go. The last time Bitcoin was this oversold, I think the last 5 times, the last 5 times Bitcoin reached an RSI this low, effectively the bounce, if it repeats, on average would take us up to 180,000. Again, some people have rightly pointed out that the last 5 times we've done this, we're in a bull market, and a lot of people are saying we're not in a bull market now. So if you did this and you took the same sample from 2022, they didn't play out this way. So it's worth noting that if this is 2022, which is essentially the thesis is hey, we're ahead, we're already in the bear market, then this would not play out. But if you want some hopium, if you want to smoke that hopium, feel free to do so. It is my great pleasure to deal you this drug. And keeping the hopium rolling, here's my man, Tom Lee, saying that Bitcoin can go to 200,000 in 50 days. No, not 10 years, not 6 months, 50 days.
I think crypto prices are beginning to actually recover. That's why I think Bitcoin can double from here by the end of January.
Now, Tom Lee also believes that ETH could hit $15,000 in the not too distant future. Obviously, that would be super bullish. For everyone building a DEX on ETH, we are excited about that. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're looking for a Santa rally. We need to get into the housekeeping zone. We're going to raise some cash in case things get nasty. We're going to be hoping for the best. We're going to be preparing for the worst. And we're going to be excited for 2026 to be a year that bucks the 4-year trend. As always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, I hope you guys are enjoying the rapid fire updates. I'm trying to keep it flowing as best as I can because crypto crypto only goes so long without producing insane opportunities. And as much as this feels like one of the worst times in crypto history, usually those precede some of the best. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.